It wasn't all that long ago that the idea of a fast Hyundai would have you scoffing in ridicule. However, in just a few short years, the Korean firm's stable of excellent N cars, first the i30N and then the i20N, has cemented the company as a maker of highly talented performance machinery. Now, however, it's the turn of the company's small SUV, the Kona, to receive the N treatment, which brings with it not just a powerful engine and leery styling, but also a whole host of clever performance-enhancing goodies. The question is, can a tall, high-sided SUV really have the poise to convince as a corner-craving performance car? Happily, we're just about to find out, but before we do, come on, you knew this was coming. Like this video, subscribe to the CarGurus UK YouTube channel, turn on all your notifications, do all that stuff. You won't regret it, I promise. Now, even without the N treatment, the Kona is a fairly unconventional, fussy looking thing, but the N gets a bespoke front end that makes it look even fussier. You've got these slashes in the leading edge of the bonnet, you've got the gaping black grills, you've got the bespoke front bumper, and combined with the car's already angular details, the whole thing looks a bit, well, snarly and aggressive. If it were a person, it would be doing this. You've also got other racy looking bits and bobs dotted around elsewhere on the car, including 19-inch alloy wheels, red brake calipers, beefy side mouldings, twin exhausts and a roof spoiler. Practicality is an important part of any SUV, even one that's performance orientated, and unfortunately the Kona doesn't do awfully well here. The boot is a half decent size at 361 litres, and most small families will probably be able to cope, but they will have to pack a lot more carefully than they will with a Ford Puma ST, which gives you quite a lot more space. Having said that, there's virtually no load lip to get in your way when loading heavy items, and the rear seats fold down in a 60-40 split, and they lay reasonably flat with no step in the floor. It's a similar story here in the back seats. It's roomy enough that most small families should be able to cope, but you'll be a lot more cramped than you will in some of the car's rivals. For example, I'm 6'1", so I'm not small, but I'm not built like I should be living at the top of a beanstalk either. But nevertheless, my knees are hitting the seat in front and my head is brushing the ceiling. And if you wanted to try squeezing 3 of me across the rear bench, you'd have absolutely no chance. Those sitting up front will be a lot more comfortable because these heavily bolstered sport seats are really supported, and you get full electric adjustment. If you're after that classic elevated SUV driving position though, you might be a little bit disappointed because you sit lower in the Kona than you do in a lot of other SUVs. You might also be a little bit disappointed by the quality on show in the cabin because there are a lot of hard plastics that aren't particularly appealing to the eyeballs or the fingertips, but it has to be said that the construction feels really solid. It will probably take you a fair old while to get to grips with the touchscreen infotainment system too. It does all the stuff you expect it to, with nav, DAB, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto all provided as standard. But the way the operating system works is quite convoluted and confusing, and the screen isn't the quickest to react to a jab of your finger. Other kinds of equipment are in plentiful supply too, with the standard list including climate control, automatic lights and wipers, adaptive cruise control, front and rear parking sensors, a reversing camera, wireless phone charging, leather and suede upholstery, heated and ventilated front seats, heated rear seats, and an extensive suite of driver assistance systems. This car being what the motor industry refers to as a B-segment SUV, you might quite reasonably assume that it shares the same engine as the firm's other B-segment N offering, the i20N, that being a 1.6 litre turbo with 201 brake horsepower. Not so, it actually shares its engine with the bigger i30N, which means it gets a 2 litre turbo with a rather more exciting 276 brake horsepower, and it channels that power to the front wheels via an 8-speed twin-clutch automatic gearbox. It's not just a powertrain that's shared with the i30N either. It also uses most of the same performance-enhancing mechanical gadgetry in order to make the most of all that power. This includes a limited slip differential, launch control, adaptive suspension, a variable exhaust, and a variety of selectable drive modes. And the result? Well, this being the kind of car it is, you're probably going to want to know the 0 to 62 time and the top speed, those being 5.5 seconds if you use the launch control and 149 miles per hour. However, that doesn't even begin to describe this car's character. Allow me to demonstrate. Here we are trundling along at low to moderate speed, and that being the case, we've got the normal driving mode selected on what Hyundai hilariously calls the N-Grin control system. Normal mode means that the adaptive suspension is in its softest setting, making the ride firm but still fairly comfortable, while the steering is at its lightest, the gearbox is at its most relaxed, the active exhaust is at its quietest, etc, etc, so the car is relaxed enough and civilised enough to live with on a daily basis. Other driving modes include Eco, Sport, and the most hardcore of all the modes, N mode. And if you want to select N mode in a hurry, you can just press this button on the steering wheel rather than fiddling about with the twiddly thing. Do that and the car becomes an absolutely maniacal, foaming-mouthed lunatic. Firstly, the transmission becomes a lot more aggressive, keeping the revs sky high, punching through the shifts and generally making the performance much more rabid. Don't get me wrong, even in normal mode, giving it a big boot full of revs gets this car going very quickly indeed, but in N mode, maximum attack is delivered much more readily. This enhanced performance is also accompanied by a lot more burbling and crackling from the active exhaust, the pedal response becomes machete sharp, the steering becomes much heavier, and the adaptive suspension hunkers down to its firmest setting. Now that last aspect is actually a bit problematic. Yes, it helps keep the body impressively upright when you're scything around corners, and the diff helps give you loads of grip and traction. However, the suspension just becomes too firm in that most hardcore setting. And no, not because it makes the car way too uncomfortable for the public road, which, by the way, it absolutely does, but that is at least a bit forgivable here. No, the problem is that there's so little give in the suspension that bumps actually knock you off your intended line. And what's more, you're being jolted and jittered about so much in your seat that you actually physically struggle to dial in the desired inputs into the steering wheel. Okay, you probably won't have that problem on a smooth racetrack, but on the public road, it's all way too much. Happily, there is a custom mode where you can configure each individual aspect of the drive in a variety of stages to satisfy your own unique requirements. However, doing so takes an awful lot of faffing with the touchscreen. And for when N mode simply isn't enough, the Kona N has another little trick up its sleeve. The NGS written on this big red button on the steering wheel stands for N-Grin Shift, and what that does is it primes the engine and transmission for absolute 100% optimal performance for a period of 20 seconds, and that gives your bonkers level of pace an extra boost. Right, let's give it a whirl, shall we? Well, we definitely shifted, and I'm grinning, so I'd say that that was pretty much mission accomplished. It is a laugh, this thing, there is no doubt about that, and it does deliver that appealing duality between sufficient everyday comfort on the one hand and complete uncompromised hardcore focus on the other. However, it does still feel a bit unfinessed in a few areas. It's a bit of a blunt instrument. The steering, for example, you know, it gives you a decent amount of feedback through to your fingertips, but it's got nothing like the clarity, consistency and crispness that you get in a Ford Puma ST. You can also feel the diff hopping and creaking when you're manoeuvring on full lock in a car park, which is a fairly unpleasant sensation, and the turning circle is straight up hopeless. There's loads of torque steer, so the wheel gets pulled side to side when you accelerate hard, and you have to work quite hard to keep things on the straight and narrow. and even at moderate speeds you're barraged by a frankly ridiculous amount of road noise. The Kona N is one of those cars that is going to suit a very particular kind of buyer. There is no doubting its pace or its dynamic ability, and if you're a fan of the hardcore driving experience and all the gimmickry that the car employs in order to achieve it, then you're going to absolutely love this thing. Do bear in mind though that all that gimmickry does not come cheap, because if you buy one of these things brand new, then it's going to cost you upwards of £35,000. Still, a 5-year unlimited mileage warranty will soften the blow a bit and also lend a small amount of sensible to a car that is otherwise completely unhinged. What do you think of the Kona N? Brilliant, bonkers, or a bit of both? Please let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the CarGurus UK YouTube channel. And for a great deal on your next car from a top-rated dealer, be sure to visit cargurus.co.uk.